Good day, viewers. My name is Promise. On today's episode, Daddy will be taking us on his journey on a rescue mission for the nation. Please listen carefully, subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you.
This is your Dr. David, first son of Chief Umopuari Gbiraise, on a rescue mission for my nation, Nigeria. In episode 5 of this series, we discussed the electoral system in Nigeria, and we concluded that all along Nigeria had been having a wrong electoral system. Right from the 1960s to date, Nigeria has always had issues with election results. And I concluded that it's not because of the persons involved, it's because of the system that we had that made it possible for manipulation of elections to take place. And after discussing that episode, viewers and subscribers called to request that I should look at how elections are conducted in other nations of the world and discuss them. And so it made me go out to carry out investigations of how elections are done in other climes. Today, I want to start discussing elections in India, in Canada, in America, and in Russia. So these are the ones I want to start discussing as an example so that we can take what is best in these various systems, to incorporate in what we are doing in Nigeria to have the very best electoral system. Today we want to discuss the electoral process in India. India has a very interesting electoral process, and I want us to listen carefully to see what we can take out of what happens in India. When I started investigating how elections are done in India, they were just about doing their general elections in April this year, 2024. And they told me that the results will be announced in June. And I exclaimed, why do you conduct elections in April and it will take a number of months for the results to come out in June? And the authorities told me, they said, look, India has a large population of 1.5 million people. 1.5 million people as compared with the 200 million in Nigeria. Remember, a billion consists of 1,000 millions. So and then it's not just 1 billion now, it's 1.5 billion people they have in India. And they have 766 districts as compared with the 36 states that we have in Nigeria. So it takes enormous time and resources and coordination to be able to collate all the results from the 766 districts and, from all the very large population that voted during the election. And so that's why it takes a long time. But at the end of the day, India is able to announce credible election results. And you hardly have arguments when the results are released. Now, India has a department that conducts elections. And that department is headed by somebody we call the Elections Commissioner. We can compare that Elections Commissioner of India to Nigeria's INEC chairman. When I tell you that, then you will say, it's the same thing. But it's not the same because India has a very advanced technology that prevents manipulation of elections. So the elections commissioner must announce the results as they are. He cannot manipulate. If you look at the screen, there is something that looks like a musical keyboard, and that is called the EVM, electronic voting machine, that India uses. You see, in India, they don't print ballot papers for people to use. And is it not disgraceful that in Nigeria we print a long ballot paper that looks like a strip, a rope to tie up something? That's so ridiculous. And we keep using it and keep using it. Can't somebody think and say, how do we improve upon this system? I have recommended before that we should reduce the number of political parties in this nation. Somebody will say, oh, Nigeria is a large country, is the most populated nation in Africa. But I'm telling you that India has a population of 1.5 billion with 766 districts. They don't have ballot papers that can be compromised, that can be manipulated. Instead, they use the EVM. Look at it on the screen. That EVM looks like a keyboard. It has several keys. Each key there represents a political party. If we decide to be using the EVM in Nigeria, one key will represent a political party like the SDP, another one will represent another political party like the PDP, another for APC, another for Labour Party, and so on and so forth. So when they told me this, I said, so it's very easy to manipulate election there, because the elections commissioner will, after everybody has voted, he will just carry the EVM inside and press the key as of his favorite political party. As they said no, they just laughed at me and said it's not so. That every key accepts a vote from one finger. That is, if you are a registered voter, the EVM recognizes your finger and accredits simultaneously. That finger can vote only once. That is, the hand of a voter that has been accredited can only vote once. It cannot vote a second time. If you want to vote a second time, the key will not press for you. And if you are an unregistered person, the key will not recognize your finger. You cannot vote. That's how it's been programmed, and it works for them marvelously. And then, after that, after elections, or as they are doing elections, the results are being transmitted to an electronic system, which people can see. Newspapers carry it, or social media carry it. What is being reported in the election results machine that they have. So everything is in the public domain. In addition to this, there is another electronic device that is called the imprinter. This should be shown to you too on the screen as I'm talking now. The imprinter is an electronic device in India that as they are voting, the imprinter collects the result and prints the result. But the printout remains inside the imprinter. If there is any argument, a court authorizes the opening of that imprinter. When they are opening it, representatives of the various political parties are there. The imprinter is opened, the result is brought out for everybody to see. The result should agree with what has been announced as the results of the election. So you can see what happens in India. It's a very superior system, that although they have a body that handles elections they have an elections commissioner that is in charge, that coordinates everything. They have an electronic system that ensures the integrity of elections that you cannot manipulate. This is what happens in India. I think Nigeria can look at it. The question we want to ask is, does Nigeria have politicians that have the political will to introduce such electronic system in our voting system to make our elections impossible to manipulate? So I want to beg the authorities, the presidency, the National Assembly, to look into this and introduce such system in Nigeria. I will still tell you, in another episode, what happens in Canada, what happens in the US, and in Russia. The present issues we have in our electoral system is something that the various organizations, institutions should look at. INEC itself, the universities, polytechnics, where you have scientists, you have minds that are thinking. Let them go into it and find solutions to the problems we have with our electoral system. In this era of entrepreneurship, where we're encouraging youths to be entrepreneurial, what youths can help Nigeria to do is to devise systems that can beat all these anomalies we're expecting that we experience in the legislature, in the electoral system, and so on and so forth. Remember to subscribe and to share. I will now hand over to my daughter, Promise, to conclude. God bless you.
It's our intention to forward these findings and subsequent recommendation to the Presidency, the Senate, House of Reps, and of course the governors. If you're touched to facilitate this process, please see the screen for your candidates. Thank you.